Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce I just launched my Substack. If you want to get the latest work directed delivery to your inbox, please subscribe. And today, take a look at this article from the individual four-pillar blueprint to the architecture of civilization, the Charter of Planet Earth. The point I want to make it clear is the Daotiming system is a model mapping system. It maps the structure of 10 gods from personal level to the macro environmental level. It's originally used to interpret an individual's fate, but it is not limited by that. The 10 god system revealing the deep dynamics of the civilization. So in this framework, an individual is not an island, but a layer within the multi-layered fractional of civilizational network. The Tenga system also is a description of how society self-organizes, self-reacts, and self-renews. Every individual's chart is just a microcosm of the civilization's chart. How do we map that to society and how do we decode that? So we can see there are 5 nodes here. It's a 10 god system. Each node accounts for 2 gods. And the social strata on 10 gods are 5 major functional systems of energy. An entire civilization can be understood as a multi-layered, synergistic system where the different strata are not superior or inferior, but rather are nodes in a mutually supportive structure. So the first one, the fundamental layer, is this node, the twins and plunder layer. It is the sensory system of the populace. The lowest layer of society is composed of countless sensory points, constantly receiving and reflecting environmental changes, much like body's nerve endings. But many people misunderstand it as inferior layer, but actually it is not. It's just a force of group resonance. They are not the helmsmen, but the very sensory networks that constitute the social reality. So actually, they are the base of society. They allow society to feel itself. They are the ordinary individuals. They are the environment that we need. We can not only have leaders in this society, they are the populace layer. So these reactors, like I got society thermometers, they are easily or pliable to emotions that resonate in the society because they are the perceptor of it. They form the collective consciousness field. Without this reactive layer, no system can self-correct. Therefore, they are not people who drift with the current, but the sensory network that maintains systemic stability. The next layer is the creative layer. The creative layer has 2 gods, Epicure and Maverick. They are the generative system of civilization. Energy begins to transform into creation here. And Epicure and Maverick represents humans' capacity for production, expression, and innovation. They transform potential into form and abstraction into works. This energy from the capacity gods drives continuous renewal of technology, art, and thought. Whenever society stagnates, it is the reflowing of this energy that allows civilizations to begin its reorganization. However, if this energy overexpand, creation becomes so noisy and expression become deluge and leading society into a high noise but low consensus state. So we talk about third layer, the money gods. The money gods is the circulation layer of the civilization. It is a metabolic system of resources, and the wealth is not mere accumulation of materials, but the mode of circulation for society. Windfall and wealth, the difference is just their attribute and pattern. So generally, we can call them money gods. In ancient China, sometimes they don't separate this, they see it a whole. And So the windfall and the wealth mega symbolize the flow of capital, the cadence of desire, and the cyclical nature of the exchange system. When the energy flows very well, the society metabolism is healthy, but when the energy is hoarded, the system become toxic. That is what exactly a certain nation is undergoing. The stability of this layer depends on the balance of trust and efficiency. So windfall is a form of venture energy, and wealth is a form of conservation energy that maintains order and security. For civilization to maintain vital, the exploration of windfall and the preservation of wealth must form a respiratory cycle. The fourth layer is an order layer. We talk about the rulers, Amok and Crown, the structural system of society. Society cannot survive when it only has like two layers, like creation and circulation alone, because it requires order and structure. The Amok and Crown is this kind of power that represent institution, discipline, responsibility, and power. So they represent ruling class. So they are the society skeleton. We can't only have the flesh, the skin, and the spirit. We need to have a skeleton as the base. What the difference is you can tell from these two gods. The Amok one is biased towards action, a force of execution and advancement. It means the Amok drives you act, but non-stop. The Crown is biased to order. It means the Crown emphasizes stability and its duty to make sure everything is work in his order. Some people see it as a ruling class, so they have a kind of objection to this. But in Daotiming model, we are more objective and we see power gods are not authority itself, but a system coordination algorithm. So it makes us more friendly towards the ruling class. And their task is not to control the population, but to maintain the sustainable flow of energy between all five layers. When the layers ossify, order become oppression. The power gods control too much resources, but it doesn't make it flow. So the structures become a cage. And at this time, the civilization need to reorganize its resources to become more vivid. And there's the fifth layer is a spirit layer. It's a more the essential and vital node of the whole system. The system of consciousness continuity. It is called the highest layer. Its energy no longer acts directly upon the material world, but it's responsible for continuity of the civilization's memory and meaning. It is cultural. The Christ and the Theo is a two member of this group entitlement, and Christ represents the diffusion of knowledge, inspiration, and intuition. The Christ is more spiritual, and the Theo symbolize conviction, culture, education, and the sense of belongings. The Theo is more mainstreamed. The existence of this layer, the cell gods, also as entitlement and gives a society its soul. It allows a civilization to be more than a survival machine, but rather an organism with a narrative and direction. This energy especially restrain the capacity energy. It means the creation. So we need to balance these two types of energy to make this whole society dynamic. When this energy becomes too strong, society falls into dogmatic rigidity and ideological echo chambers. But when it is too weak, culture suffers from amnesia and collapse. We don't have a consensus. Sometimes the creation creates separation because like people, they have different directions, so they are not solidified. The entitlement will force a consensus to drive the centrifugal force back to the center. Generally, when we map the 10 gods onto the social structure, the complete cyclic system emerge. The sensation, like I got, and transform energy to the creation, and the creation transform energy to a circulation, and circulation transform energy to the order, and order transform energy to the memory. Also, the 5 nodes have a mutual restraint of each other. So this is a self-correcting energy circuit. The stability of society depends on the continuous operation of this circuit. An imbalance in any one will push the civilization into a periodic oscillations. One paragraph I want to highlight is this paragraph. The past social transformation relied on confrontations, like incitement, protest, overthrowing the old order. But the complexity of modern society has far surpassed that of traditional structures. In many countries, we've viewing many overthrown regime, but it doesn't solve the problems, right? So what is the solution? I think the true evolution is not about demolition, it's about reconfiguring energy channels. It means we need to solve the economic problems at first, then we think about the others. The value provided by this line of thinking is that it allows us to understand that a system turbulence is due to an energy imbalance between its strata. We need to know what kind of force we need to use to balance another excessive energy. I have a quote here, quote myself. The repair of energy relies not on emotional resonance, but on structural resonance. This is allow the 10 God energy in each layer to operate according to its own logic. So what is the civilization's chart? It's actually an abstract feeling of this. It's not what exactly a civilization established. So we don't know that exact moment, but we have a kind of feel for that. We can feel the distribution of its 10 gods determines the society's temperament and long-term destiny. So, for example, what is a like-I God society? We know the entitlement provided consensus, and the like-I God is generated by the entitlement. The like-I Gods has very strong group consensus. It is often characterized of strong collectivism and high execution capability. For example, East Asia industrial societies. And the capacity God society, we have example like American tech and entertainment industries. It is driven by innovation and capital. The money God society, most of them are economical, flexible, and high competitive. For example, like the previous Hong Kong before 2019, Singapore at present. How about power and sales society? The classic example are Northern Europe and Germany. When we learn to interpret an individual chart, we also learn to read the chart of civilization itself. So the ultimate purpose of basiologics is not only to predict fate, but to understand how energy structure operates. When we view the 10 gods as social algorithms, we discover that civilization is and in fact a long-term process of structural parameter tuning. Every uphill and every awakening, every crisis is a social chart attempting to adjust itself to the turbulence. The basiologics was never a fortune-telling art of individuals. It is a science of structure, energy, and time. And we realize that how we repair our society before we try to use some way to repair our world, but there isn't seems like a true way to fix that. The problem is complex and the problem is dynamic. So we need to use a dynamic mindset to decode the world, to have a brand new world view. Once when humanity understands the 10 gods system and how it operates, can society have a chance to understand itself? At the end of this video, I need to remind it again. If you want to get free articles, please subscribe my Substack, and you will see me soon at the next video.